What makes a great pair of glasses? At Warby Parker, it's all the invisible extras without the extra cost. Their designer quality frames start at $95, including prescription lenses, plus scratch-resistant, smudge-resistant, and anti-reflective coatings, and UV protection, and free adjustments for life. To find your next pair of glasses, sunglasses, or contact lenses, or to find the Warby Parker store nearest you, head over to warbyparker.com. That's warbyparker.com.
Over the past 75 years, more than 10,000 chemicals have entered our food supply, but the EU allows just 300 additives. At Thrive Market, we prioritize quality, banning over 1,000 ingredients found in conventional grocery stores. Our Healthy Swap scanner helps you find better versions of your pantry essentials without the junk, dyes, or fillers, and everything is delivered right to your doorstep. So shop at a grocery store that actually cares about your health at thrivemarket.com/get started for 30% off your first order and a free $60 gift.
Well, hello, everyone. I'm just going to adjust my camera just a little bit. Okay. All right, I'm just adjusting my camera a little bit. Okay, I look like I'm at the top of my screen now. All right. Well, hello, everyone. Okay, I'm okay now. Sorry. Welcome to a brand new episode of Hot Topics. So my name is Gabrielle Crichlow. This show is a production of A Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So let me tell you what this show is about. So this is the show where we like to have those real conversations. We like to have that real talk. We like to educate our viewers, enlighten our viewers. Oh, I see some onlookers coming in. That's pretty cool. But yes, we like to have our guests share their life stories, their journeys, their triumphs, their trials, their everything, right? But all for the purpose of educating you and enlightening you. So that's what this show is all about. And I have a guest with me who is going to sit on the hot seat. Her name is Takira Robinson, and I can't wait to get her on the show. She has an amazing story, but before we do that, I have to say the name of the show. So the name of the show is Resiliency Part 3, right? This is the third time that I am doing this topic. I love it when I have repeat topics. It makes it easier for me. So the topic for today is Resiliency Part 3. So I am excited to bring this topic back, and I'm excited for the guests who will help me with this topic today. So again, her name is Takira Robinson, and I will tell you briefly that she is an educator, a parent, and an astrology enthusiast. And she overall, her life has been very rewarding in as ascension, understanding, and acceptance. As it evolves with her, she will see her humanitarian brand shine. That is awesome. All right. So without further ado, I'm going to bring her to the stage right now.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, Takira. How are you doing today?
Hello. I love it. I'm happy to be here today talking about resiliency.
Yeah, you have a great story, and I definitely want you to share it with our audience. So if you can, I'm going to hand over the baton to you, and I would love to get your take on what resiliency means to you.
What resiliency means to me is the environment that you did not choose, yet you rose from, yet you grew from, you learned from. It was not something that you chose, yet you understood that it was something that you could not continue, and you wanted to grow from it, and you wanted to be better because of it. That is resiliency to me.
All right. So let's start from the beginning of your life journey. So take us back to, I think everything started when you were 12 years old.
Yeah, I feel like 12 is a really good turning point. Like I said, I'm an astrology enthusiast. So when I think about a birth chart, it has 12 equal houses. And so at 12, you basically finish a cycle. So at age 12, you are about to begin a new cycle. And so my cycle has continued. Um, and not in a detrimental way, but more so just in a um, unguided way. I love, I really love that we had the preliminary conversation that we did, because now I see how much resilience I really packed up from being 12 years old. And when I was 12, um, I was living, kind of like staying with my mom, and at my sister's house. So I was kind of displaced, not very stable when it came to a home life, and I chose that. Um, and so, in knowing those things, I kind of chose to do different things that were along the line of a child not having a stable home, not having stable parents. I made decisions from that point of view, from that perspective. And although I did make it out, um, it still didn't make for a very horrid story. Um, at 12 years old, I was living with a mom who was drug addicted, and I had a lot of education myself. I was very smart, um, did very well in school, but my social life kind of took a turn. I started drinking at 12, never drinking out of negativity or loneliness or unhappiness, thinking that everything was lively and fun and this is what you do. Um, yeah, and of course, I have children now, so at 12, I could not see them beginning to get into such a habit at 12 years old. So that started a lot of the things that I would have to prove that I was resilient about. It started a lot of situations that I would have to um, prove my resiliency in. Is there
Are you
anything
still
else you
with me?
want? Yeah, can you hear me?
Some connection issues. All right, issues. All right. So give me 1 second. Okay. All right. You can hear me now?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yes, I can.
Okay.
Sorry, I
I
was
don't know.
having some issues on my end. Okay. All right. So we're gonna power through this. Okay. So I apologize for that. All right. So I think it all started, as I recall, I think your mom went to prison.
Yes.
Oh,
So
that before. Okay.
yes.
Start from there.
Okay. So I think my name should have been Resilience. I think that my parents should have named me that because they were gonna put me through so many things that I still had to bear this smile for. Um Growing up, I did not grow up in a two-parent household. I do remember my mom using drugs for a lot, the more important, the early years of my life. And when she finally went to jail, I was uprooted from the home that she and I lived in. And I kind of didn't know where she was. Nobody really told me, but I guess they maybe thought they were protecting me in a sense. They adults really want, they want to keep the child knowing things to a minimum, but children know. So if there's one thing, word of advice I would give is stop acting like they don't know, because they do know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but for whatever reason, I never really felt worried. I never really felt scared. I just kind of just I went with the flow. I rolled with the punches. So when she left, I moved in with my aunt, and then moved in with my dad and his parents. And I'm sure he thought that, he was bringing me a better life, or one different than I was already exposed to. But I was still me. I was still me. I was still a loving child. I still was a very forgiving child. I still let things just roll off my back. And, I didn't really give situations too much power over me as a child,
Mm-hmm.
which allowed me to stay in a more uplifting, or just a kind of universal way of living. Um, Once my mom did leave, and she went to prison, she didn't come back into my life for another, because I was in the fifth grade. So she came back when I was almost in when I was going to the eighth grade, and she came and picked me up from school one day, and she never took me back home. I later found out she never took me back home because she wanted me to take care of my younger sibling while she continued to live her life the way that she wanted to live her life. Early on, I had responsibility at a very young age, but what parent would leave a baby, infant, toddler with a preteen if that preteen didn't show resilience, if that preteen didn't show that they were in fact well equipped enough to handle the baby. um so I took care of her until summer was over. And during that summer, I was going out to clubs. I was 12 years old. I was going out to clubs. I was drinking. And, I was living an adult life, kind of. I was having fun. It was fun to me. But after that, after the summer was over, I knew I had to go back to school. I knew that I could not just live this life for another year without going back to school. So I ended up having to face the music. In my godmother's words, I ended up having to face the music and go back home to bed after leaving out one morning and never returning. I had to face the music, go back and tell my dad, like, I want to come home. And of course, he welcomed me back with open arms. I'm like 90% sure that him and my mom had some type of conversation during that time. Because I'm not sure why he would have just let me back in with open arms without an explanation. But again, in his mind, because he never came and looked for me that summer, and I feel in my heart of hearts he knew where I was, because I was at my aunt's house. Like, where is a child at other than with family? But I feel like he knew that his child was very resilient. He knew that I was able to be out on my own because of how smart I was, and because I could, I could make decisions for my own. So I'm gonna just leave it at that. So yeah, so I feel like he thought I was very resilient in that season. He didn't feel like he had to come look for me or anything in that nature. So I went back to school, 8th grade. I actually graduated at the top of my class. I was the valedictorian of my middle school class. So if that doesn't show resiliency, that in 7th grade I maybe missed like May, the entire month of May and June in school. I still graduated I still went on to the next grade with passing grades. And then the next year I turned around and I was valedictorian. So, just that little hump there from 12 to like 14, that just showed me how resilient I really was, how resilient I truly am, and how much I can continue to do whatever it is that I need to do for myself or others, and I will be triumphant. I'm going to go through trials day to day, but overall, when I look at my life, it is triumphant. Um, High school was different. I was still living with my mom in the same house, but I was still taking care of my little sister. Um, so at 18 or 17, when I graduated high school, I got pregnant with my first son. And I was happy. I think I was happy when I found out that I was pregnant. And I thought my mom would be happy too, but no, she just told me, she basically just said that she wanted me to prove how much more resilient I was, because she put me out of the home when I told her that I was pregnant. And I had to basically live with my child's father. And so that made me, all the things that I've been through, it doesn't make me hard. It doesn't make me hard. I feel like it makes me stronger. It makes me stronger to have to deal with things, but it also puts a damper. It dampens my spirit, because I feel like nobody can have me like I have me, and nobody can have me like God has, because he is the co-creator of my life. And so if I'm going through these different trials and tribulations to show my resilience, that's something that that's something that he wants me to do. That's not something that I have to prove to others that I am. He wants me to show that I am resilient. And so just growing up in a household where there aren't any parents, it's not like, you don't get out of school and you go home to a mom and a dad. I didn't go home to that. So my early years, being resilient because I had to be responsible for myself. When I get to preteen age, I'm being more responsible for my little sibling than anybody has ever been for me in my life. How did I learn that? Nobody but me and God, the co-creator of my life. Um, and then when I become a teenager, I go from being a teenager to a mother. So I don't get the chance to become a woman and, have these girlfriends or have these womanly experiences that are so beneficial to your growth. I don't get to have that because I have a child now that I have to be responsible for. So a lot of my resilience came from the responsibilities that I was given. And I do love being resilient. However, like I said, being resilient is not a result of you placing yourself in a position. It's a result of you being placed in a position, probably by somebody else, and they want to see how strong you are, or you have to prove how strong you are. So I'm not really into being resilient in my 30s because I know that I'm not putting myself in a position to prove how strong I am. I'm not going to deliberately put myself in a position to prove how strong I am. Right now, at this stage in my life, I have learned a lot. And so being resilient is not something that I strive to be today.
Sorry, you being resilient is not something you strive to be?
It's not. I feel like I can be a lot of things. Resilient is not one of them because I feel like when you are resilient, it's a result of somebody placing you in a situation that you now have to prove how strong you are. I don't need anybody placing me in positions where they want to see how strong I am. If you can't see how strong I am right now, today, that's on you. That's not on me. I don't have to prove my strength anymore because I have been strong for a very long time. Now I want to be something else.
Okay. Well, I think that makes you resilient because the fact that you know, you had a drug addicted mother, you had, I think your father was absent, right? Or he wasn't
Yeah,
really involved.
right.
So you had a father that wasn't really present. Is it safe to say that he was forced to be involved when the mom went to prison?
I mean, I would say that is safe because as long as she was there to to make sure I had a roof over my head, he didn't have to. So
Right.
yeah.
So it's sort of, and, when your mom went to prison or when she wasn't, I guess you stayed with the mom while she, you know, while while she was drug addicted, right? So you
hmm
were still living under her roof, and then when she went to prison, that's when you went to live with the dad. So
hmm
it's sort of like your dad was forced to step in, because the
hmm
mom wasn't there, and he was forced to be a dad.
Yep.
Um, so the fact that all that you already had a father who was already absent, and you have your mother who is on drugs, so she's not paying attention to you. She's in her own little world. Um, it's and you have to grow up with that,
hmm
So what? And I think that makes you resilient,
hmm
because you. It's not like you chose that life, it was chosen for you.
Right.
So, um, tell us more about, you know, well, actually, there's another thing I actually wanted, in our preliminary interview, I noticed that you moved around a lot.
hmm
So can you tell us about that?
Yeah. Um, let's see. So I grew up in Cherry Hill. That's in Baltimore, Maryland. And if you're from Baltimore, you know what that means when somebody says they're from Cherry Hill. Like it's infamous, okay? So I grew up there until I was 9. Like I said, I went and I stayed with my grandparents because that's where my dad was living. He didn't have a home of his own. He still lived with his parents. So I lived there while he worked at night, and I was in school during the day, so I didn't see him. Um, so that was from 10 to 12. At 12, I went back. That was one time when my mom came and picked me up from school one afternoon and then never took me back. So I stayed in Cherry Hill again from 12. I mean that summer of 12. And then I moved to, I moved with my dad and his wife from about 12 to 14. It was not, it wasn't very homely. This lady was very nice to me before she became my stepmom. I mean, she was very nice to me before she became my stepmom. And so I thought everything would be nice, you know. This is my stepmom. Like, she likes me. We laugh, we have fun. And then she married my dad, and everything changed. And I hated that. So at 14, I wanted to move back with my mom, and my dad let me. You know, he let me move back. And so from 9 to 14, just that back and forth of not having a parent around. Like,
Yeah.
you know, just not having a parent around, not really having, like, just not hearing any type of advice just on a whim, you know, not seeing any relationships. Just, I mean, I'm just out here with bare eyes, you know, I'm out here with bare
Yeah.
eyes, and I didn't really want to copy anything I saw. And I kind of made a life for my own self, just off of not having any guidance, like my whole life, basically, not having any guidance. And then when you're a very smart kid, your parents kind of think that they can leave you to your own vices. You know, she'll be okay. She's smart enough. She can do it. I mean, and while that may very well be true, every child needs their parents. If not both, definitely one of them.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's tough when you don't have a stable home physically, because you know you're moving around a lot. So you went from Cherry Hill, and I think you went to New York.
No,
No.
I never moved out of state, which was great. But before I even moved to my grandparents, my dad had me live with my aunt. So initially, when my mom got arrested, I finished the school year, quote unquote. That was his reasoning for leaving me there. My aunt had 9 other children, so I was her 10th child. I'm not sure in what realm that would be okay, but I know for me as a mom today, I'm definitely not going to give my child to someone, 9 other children. Not going to do that. But he thought that was okay. So I stayed there, and then I moved with my grandparents, and then I moved with him, and then I moved back with my mom. You know, I'm in their houses, but I'm not really under their care.
Right. And I think you moved around, I mean, any between like 9 and 17, I think you changed homes, I want to say like 6 or 7 times.
So I moved with my aunt, I moved with my grandparents, then I moved with my dad and his wife, then I moved back with my mom. And then once I got pregnant, my mom put me out. And then I went and lived with my son's dad and his grandmother. So that's 5 different times. In a span of like, what, 5 years? No, that's longer than 5 years, but well, just about pretty much.
And hearing all this now, like what comes to your mind, or what comes to your mind? What are you feeling as we're talking about this, as we're rehashing this? What's coming to your mind right now?
Um, Now I feel such an overwhelming sense of gratitude for whoever had been praying for me, whoever wanted to see me be successful. People who put those kind of words and affirmations in my mind. those are the people who I think about. This was a very eye-opening conversation for me because it helped me to realize how much of an amazing mother I am. Because half of the things that I was exposed to, I wouldn't even feel comfortable, putting my children in some of the situations that I've been in. And to realize, like, hey, you didn't really have anything stable as a child, but you now have a 15-year-old son, and he's never been unstable. He's never had an unstable home. And so, you need to give yourself more props for that, because that is not easy to keep a home. Because in order to keep a home, you got to keep a job. And in order to keep a job, you got to have some type of education and skills and qualifications. And even though I'm not even going to say I got it out the mud. I came from out of a volcano. Like, once I erupted, nobody couldn't do nothing with me. So I just want to give my children a life that when they look back over, my list of cons ain't too long.
That's right. And then in comparing the way you raise your son to how you were raised, you notice the differences, right? So like you said, like, he's never had an unstable home. He's been with, the same two parents. So it's sort of like you took what you learned, and that's another thing too. You had your son at 17, right?
I was
So
pregnant
you're
at 17. He was
17. So
5 days before my birthday. So yeah, I was still 17 when I had him. Yep.
and we didn't even get into that part, but yeah, you're comparing two different lives and looking at your son and realizing that he never went through what you went through. It's sort of like you took all that you went through growing up, and you decided, like, I'm not going to repeat those mistakes.
Mm-hmm. And I think subconsciously that was in my mind. But just as a person, just as a regular person, even if I didn't have a son, I don't think I would want to have an unstable home. Just even as a human being, when you are responsible for another child, you got to think differently. So I'm automatic with the job, with the paychecks. I'm automatic with everything that's going to make sure I don't have to call somebody and say, "Hey, we need to stay with you because I don't, I don't have this or I don't have that." I'm not even sure who I would call in that instance.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure. And my life has shown me that you don't have a lot of people to call. So you better be on the up and up. You better have all your ducks in a row, because there's not a lot of people that you can call on and say, "Hey, I need a favor. Hey, I need you to keep my son for a week because I can't for whatever reason." It's not a lot of
Yeah.
that in my life. So I have my list of responsibilities, and I just gotta keep going on my hamster wheel with it.
So you didn't really have that. You didn't really have that support system, because, like you said before, your mom kicked you out at 17. And pregnant at 17, your mom kicked you out, and it's like she's the one with the drug addiction, yet she kicks you out for getting pregnant at 17, and you have to go, live with the baby's father. So
Mm-hmm.
now let's, I want to make sure we get to this. So let's talk about that. You know, having a baby at 17. What was that like?
Um, I feel like, well, my son's grandmother, she and I would talk a lot. She's a Libra like me, so I kind of feel like we had a connection. We would talk a lot, and I was just able to talk with her like I was able to talk with a friend. So I felt support there. And then his great grandmother, which was whose house we were living in, she she would do anything. I think that was her first great grandson. That was the first grandson for. So, they're excited. They want to buy cribs. They want to buy this. They want to buy that. They want to do the whole everything.
The
And
whole
so,
thing.
yeah, I would go shopping with his great grandmother. Um, Everything. It was just, they were just really supportive. Um, but my mom, I think that she thought her saying like, "Oh, well, you can't stay here." I think she thought that was going to make me backtrack. But again, here I am being placed in a situation that I didn't ask for, because I didn't ask for you to put me out. But now I have to prove how strong I am. I'm used to this because you done put me in this position many times. So I'm used to you making me prove how strong I am. So no, I'm not going to get rid of my child. I'm going to raise him. I'm going to raise him, and I'm going to be the best mom in the world. So my pregnancy went off without a hitch. I didn't really have any complications. His labor, I still distinctly remember going into labor on Monday night and not having him until Wednesday morning. My labor was fine. I did not know anything about postpartum depression, and I think it's weird that they don't tell you about that in the hospital. They don't tell you about that on any of your prenatal visits. They don't talk to you about postpartum depression. Um, I'm sure I went through it. And so, not being 18, and my son's father was 19. So being 18 and 19, going through postpartum depression, not knowing what's going on, still wanting to live your life as a teenager, um, that causes a lot of imbalance. And then also just having to be here throughout my whole pregnancy when that was never our plan. Living with him for 9 months, that wasn't our plan. So it forced us to be around each other more, where if we kind of had a balance of, okay, I'm going home today and you have this space, and then I'll come stay with you, like we could maybe have had cultivated a better relationship for my son to grow up in, a better relationship, a better environment for him to grow up in. But when you force with other things, it just gets in the way. And being a mom to him was awesome. He was a very good baby. He was a very good baby. He was so cute. Babies are even more easier to deal with when they're so cute. As he started getting a little bit older, he would watch cartoons and stuff like that. So he was like a typical, he was just like the kid that you have in mind growing up. This is how my child is going to grow up. Like that was him. So at 10 months, when my son was 10 months, so I'm pregnant for at least 10 months, and then he's growing up another 10 months. So almost 2 years. Me and his dad started going through relationship problems. Of course, anybody's going to go through relationship problems. And so I thought it was best to leave the home. And just separate myself from my son's dad at that time. being a parent to him was not difficult, which is why I kept doing it. So I have 2 other children. So being a parent to my oldest son was not difficult at all. Um, he's just an awesome kid, and you know, he just made it easy for me. He did. He made it easy for me. And his family made it easy for me too because they were financially supportive. So that was a burden that I didn't have to worry about.
So it's you already knew how to be a parent because you had to parent yourself growing up. You had to parent yourself. You had to parent your little sister, right? So it's sort of like you already got that training. So when you had your baby at 17, it's sort of like everything just clicked for you and said, boom, I already know what to do because I already got that training.
Mm-hmm. And he made it easy. He was such a good kid. He was such a good kid. He rolled with the punches like me. Um, yeah, even in school, like it was not a problem. Like he's a smart kid. But
So now,
him being so easy made me want to have more kids.
so now whatever happened with your how are things now? How are things now with your mom? How are things now with your dad?
Now, today, things with my mom and dad are I'm at a place where my relationship with them is what in whatever capacity you want to have a relationship with me, I'll accept it. Um, I went through telling them, hey, I want to talk to you guys more. I wish y'all would call me more and talk to me more. Let's start talking more. And they both said, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I never heard from either one of them.
Mm.
So, I have to come to terms with stop trying to force this relationship. Have it in whatever capacity they want to have it with you. Accept it and continue on because my life now, I love it. I love it. Whether they are loving on me or not loving on me, I love where I am now. And it's just so funny. Even yesterday, my son asked me to text my mom. He was like, ask her if she can take me, da da da. So I'm like, okay, cool. And it ran through my mind real quick, like, girl, don't text your mother, call her. And then I was like, for what? Like, I keep wanting to do all this extra stuff in the relationship. No, just text her. You're going to get a response. So, I just have come to a place where I have accepted the parents that I have. I don't want anything more from them than what they are willing to give.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm happy that they bought me Earthside. Thank you for bringing me here. I really feel like they want to have a relationship, more of a relationship with each other than they would like to have with me. I consider myself an only child because I'm the only child my mother and father ever had together. So now I live my life like I'm an only child. Um, yeah, I'm just asking to be at a place of acceptance in my life and not trying to change other people.
Right. And it sounds like you're already there, right? Because your son is 15 now, the
Yes.
oldest son.
Mm-hmm.
So now this is 15 years after you already had him, and you had to make your own way. So you never went back to your mom, or you never went back to your dad after your son was born?
I did go back to live with my mom once my son was 10 months and I moved out of his dad's house. So I lived with her. Let's see, he's 10 months. So I probably was shy of 20 years old. Maybe I was about 20 years old. And then a few months after that, my mom moved out. So it was kind of, my place. So I did have to go back with her once he and I broke up. And she wasn't very supportive. She let me come back, but you hear stories of how other mothers are with their children, and I kind of never heard my story before. I kind of never heard my story before of how my mom is, towards me. So it just puts me in a different mind frame. And I think that me having to go back to her house that one time probably kind of forced me to like put it in the back of my mind, like, you're never going backwards again. Always, because right after that, I was able to move out into a 2-bedroom apartment with me and my sons. And after that, I never looked back. And even now, this year, so my birthday is coming up. Yay me. My birthday is coming. So this year I'm going to work on buying a house, and I've always just wanted to buy a house just so that I can have land to leave for my children. I don't care about having the home. I just know that when they get old enough, like maybe when they come back from college or whatever, and they need a place to stay, they will have that. For sure.
Right. So you want to give your kids what you never got.
For sure. I think it's only right.
All right. So now, it sounds like your kids know their grandparents.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. They love
It's not
my
like it's not like you cut them out of their lives.
No. No. I would never do that, only on the strength that I have a conscience. And I really feel like my conscience would eat away at me, to say you can't see your grandparents, or like for me to tell my mom and dad, like, oh, you hurt me when I was younger, so I'm not gonna let you, like, I don't have a desire for that. Honestly, my father had 3 girls, so he never had any boys, and then I pop up and have 2 boys. So, he loves them as if, they are his sons. But it's not as intricate of a relationship as it could be. But, we accept them as they are. We don't ask for more, and we don't request less. We accept them as they are.
That's a fair point. A very good point in that. All right, so we're starting to wind things down. So do you have any final words of wisdom you'd like to share with our audience?
Word of wisdom I'd like to share with your audience is get in a child's life and just don't try to be who you needed as a child. Just listen, give them a listening ear, but also give them guidance at the same time. Don't ever think sugarcoat anything for a child. Because we may speak in child-friendly language, but I think that is something that is made up for sure, because we all only speak one language. Um, so just listen, be a listening ear when it comes to a child in your life that is in need.
Beautiful, beautiful. That is excellent advice. Thank you so much, Takira, for your story. Thank you for your advice. Thank you for your words of wisdom. I imagine this was tough for you having to live all this, but thank you for being that example for others to listen to. All right, so let's get your contact info up there. It is now promo time. All right, you guys. So Takira, she's easy to find because she only has a few things, right? So she has her website. It is direct.me/moodieblue2. So that's MOODIEBLU and the number 2. So go check out her website to learn more about her and everything that she has to offer. She is also on Instagram and Twitter. So her Instagram account name is Moody Blue with the number 2. And on Twitter, she is the number 1 BLU_Robin, right? So
Yes.
all this information will be provided to you in the description. It is also scrolling below at the bottom of the screen for my video people. For my audio people, like I said, it's in the description. So if you're not able to catch any of this now, don't worry. All of this will be in the description. So I encourage you to check out her website, follow her on Instagram, and follow her on Twitter. Takira, can you tell us about your business? What you have going on in your life right now?
If you visit my Instagram page and you click the link in my bio, what's gonna happen is you'll see a Candidly pop up, and you can schedule a financial healing session or a spiritual wellness session. So financial healing is just me being in the realm of finances, and I feel like whenever we get a budget going, God just blesses us in so many different areas, because He is like, yes, thank you for being responsible for what I have already given you. Let me give you some more. Let me give you the increase. And so once I get a budget going for you, I just know that you're gonna have so many rewards. You're gonna have so many financial rewards that we're gonna get you to living in the land of luxury and abundance. And I feel like that's where everyone in my culture should be. I feel like people in my culture don't necessarily have financial boundaries. We don't necessarily have the say so of where our money goes. So it just goes wherever. But if you tell your money where to go, it will grow. If you tell your money where to go, it will grow. And so I'm all in the business of financial healing and spiritual wellness. That would be a breaking generational curses session, 1 hour session that I would have with you, where we go through the 5 steps of starting your healing journey. And I really love that because it just put me in a position to where I am today. And so I really appreciate breaking generational curses. So I feel like other people should be doing that in their lives as well. So, like I said, if you go to my Instagram, you click the link in my bio. Even if you go to my Twitter, you click that pinned tweet. Both of them are there. You click that, it'll take you to my Calendly, something like that, Calendly, where you can schedule your own spiritual wellness session or financial healing session. I also do yearly tarot reads and things like that, but that's not something that you will find on my website. But I get into all of that. I do birth chart reads, where most people don't know what a birth chart is, but it's an astrology wheel where you're made up of all 12 signs, and we look at each of those houses to see what's happening and how it's going to basically how you can affect it, not how it's going to affect you. Um, so I'm definitely an astrology enthusiast. I love all things that comes with the stars. I am financially trying to heal my community and ascend them spiritually by breaking the generational curses within themselves, and then they go on to do the same thing with their own families. And of course, I'm an educator in Baltimore. I was an educator in Baltimore City for 6 years, and this year I switched to Baltimore County. I'm proud of myself, and that only came with breaking generational curses and some financial healing too. So just get like me, y'all. This is what I can say alignment looks like. So, you can look like me or better. It's up to you.
Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. I love it. All right, so let me tell you that information one more time. So you can find her on her website. It is direct.me/moodieblue2. That's MOODIEBLU and the number 2. You can also follow her on Instagram. Her account name is moodieblue2, and she is on Twitter. It's #1 blue BLU _ Robin. So again, it is scrolling below at the bottom of your screen. From my video people, from audio people, don't worry, all of the stuff is in the description. So however you are taking in this episode right now, just know that all of this information, all of this fabulous information is at your fingertips. All right, Takira, well, thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you taking the time to be here.
Thank you for inviting me. I really appreciate you for having me.
Awesome. All right, I'll place you backstage now. And you guys, it is just you and me. So let's do this. All right, so you guys, we have reached the conclusion of our episode. I can't believe we're at the end already. But thank you so much for joining us today. Please check out our other episodes. And don't forget to follow and subscribe. So whether you are watching this on video, whether it is on Facebook Live or YouTube, or you're listening to this on audio, whether you're listening on our website, whether you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio or Spreaker or all those other podcast stations out there, you guys, however you are taking in this fabulous episode, please don't forget to follow and subscribe. And while you're at it, please let us know what you thought about this episode by leaving a comment in the comment section or in the comment thread. Or if you don't see one, you're listening on audio, hey, please leave us a rating. Leave us a rating, rate our show. Let us know what you thought about this episode. There's so many ways that you could do it. So leave a comment in the comment section, you guys, or leave us a rating. Either way, let us know what you thought about this episode. And as a reminder, this podcast is a production of Step Ahead Tutoring Services. So if you would like to learn more about us, you can visit us online. Our website is www.stepaheadtutoringservices.com. If you are looking for a tutor, whether it is for yourself, because we do adults, or for your child, whatever it is, reach out to us. Our website again, www.stepaheadtutoringservices.com. You could also find us on multiple social media platforms. We're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and a couple others. Lots of names. So check us out on our social media. Check us out online. Reach out to us if you are seeking a tutor. And I also want to let you know that Hot Topics, we have a text list. I encourage you to sign up for the text list. Stay on top of everything that is Hot Topics. You'll stay on top of whenever our live episodes come out, when the audio releases come out. Stay on top of everything and anything that is Hot Topics. How do you do that? I will tell you. Just text the code Hot Topics to 917-764-3975. Again, just text the code Hot Topics to 917-764-3975. And I look forward to seeing your name on my, well, not, I guess our community, but I look forward to seeing your name on our text list. All right, you guys, and that is it. Thank you so much for joining us today, and I look forward to seeing you at the next episode. All right, you guys, I am now signing off. See you next time. Bye.